My name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, the last video that we were together in was looking at how to use happy memories. And I made the statement that within the happy memory is much positive energy. And by utilizing that, and through the process in that last video, can make magnificent changes in your life. And I also mentioned that it was not that much different from using affirmations. So if you're using an affirmation or you use happy memories as a focal point, you're moving into exciting your subconscious mind to see things differently. And the way you interface with the world around you will be different. So that's a good place to start to change your life. So give it a look and see if it makes sense to you. Now, you'll notice a lot of my videos, I use the whiteboard because I'm more visual. I see things in models, in visual ways. Other people can verbalize. Other people are more tactile. We all have all other five senses, and some of us relate to one sense more than the other. So I draw these little diagrams. And in the diagram, most of the time, the elements I look at as independent black boxes. And I use the I a lot in the diagrams because so much of the information that we get from the outside is due to what comes through the eyes. So the eyes are magnificent instruments, how they do what they do. But if you look at it as a black box, the eye as a black box, it takes information in, wavelengths of energy, and out of it comes information in the form of data, electromagnetic and chemical data that our inside systems can use. So the way I see it, magnificent as it is, information comes in, information goes out. Information comes in a certain way, with the eye, it is wavelengths of light. And then on the other side, going down the optic nerve, is just data. Now your ears operate the same way. They take outside information, pressure against the eardrum, and they convert that inside into electromagnetic and chemical signals. And touch the same way, and your taste and what you smell operates the same way. So I see them all as little black boxes. Now, the information that comes out of those is going to be different for each one of us, depending on how that data is filtered through what you know. And what you know is your past experiences that you've had throughout life up to this point. And those are all in memories. So your memories of the past are determining your present understanding of your world. And your world is an inside construction. Oh, how interesting is that? So there's nothing that comes from the outside, that is in the outside energy system, that is on the inside of you. Not one molecule of what is outside determines what is inside. There's no molecules from the outside inside of you. Well, we think there is. We think, well, I see stuff out there. And if you look at some of the videos that we have put together, you'll find out that it is not the eye that sees the objects. It is what's inside of you that sees the objects and then projects them outside. A different way of seeing the world. So what does that say? What is kind of the conclusion of what I just said? There's nothing outside of you but energy. And the world you have, the world you live in, is an inside construction. Now, if you love your world, if you like your world, if you feel comfortable in your world, you say, well, maybe that sounds right. If you're not, and you feel that your world is not what you would like it to be, you're going to say, well, what does he say? Am I responsible for the world I have? The short answer is yes. Oh, I don't want to believe that. And some people might just click my channel off because it doesn't give them what they want. So we're going to talk a little bit about perception. And perception in this whole process that I kind of really quickly went through, perception is your understanding, your unique understanding of your world. And no one will have a perception of their world like you. All that you think is outside of you is an inside construction. Again, a difficult process to understand because it is so far outside of our egoic belief system. Now, what's the advantage of recognizing that you're making your own world? That if you got any problems, you're making your own problems. What's the advantage? You can change them. Once you know it's your fault, you can change them. Now, in relationships, in order to heal, some relationships need to be separated for some length of time until one or the other gains more confidence in themselves. And then maybe the relationship can come back together in a new form. I kind of got off a little bit on what I was going to talk about, which was, is perception reality? Now, an old saying that I heard ever since I was a kid is, perception is reality. It's not the world's reality. Perception is always an individual reality. And no one has the perception of what happens in their life the way you do. So we're going to talk a little bit about perception and how we make perception our individual perception, and to recognize that perception can never be reality. Now there's a twist. So let's see how we can bring all of these little factors together. So in a moment, I'll draw another model, another little diagram, and see if it makes sense. Again, I'm just using black boxes. I'm not concerned about the magnificence of the particular part of the sensory system or functions in the body, because those are all kind of automatic. I'm looking at the input and the output, and how the output is used. Oh, this is going to be something maybe very deep. So stick around and see if we can make this battleship float. See you in a moment. Well, we are back. And I put what we're going to be talking about today up here, so we could see it. Is perception reality? Well, and for those that haven't been here at my site before, we'll go through this a little bit because it will seem strange if you look at it. For those that have been here for a while, it's going to look familiar. Now it reminds me, there was a time in my life when I made jewelry. It was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. Did that for several years, and I bought a lot of books so that I know how to. I mainly made Indian jewelry, and then I got into casting gold and silver, and that was a lot of fun. I learned an awful lot about materials from that. But I found out if I wanted to do cloisonne, make jewelry using that process, I'd have to go out and buy a book. Well, I buy a book, and 90% of the book is what the last book was. But in order to get the 10% new information, I had to buy the whole book. And this is kind of what we're going to be talking about here. I'll put a link up, but basically this, underneath all of this milieu here, is a standard model for the illusion. And I had two videos, part one, part two, on that. So that might be helpful because everything in the illusion is based upon this. So if you understand this model, a lot of this stuff will just fall apart. It will just open up like a coconut when you hit it right. So let's take a look at this. We're talking about perception. Is perception reality? And perception indicates that when you say, well, I perceive, you recognize, I perceive there is a lake out there, or there is a car over there. I'm perceiving that because I have reference to the information. A car usually has 4 wheels, and in the States, you drive on one side, the left side, and if it's in other parts of the world, you drive on the other side. So I have some reference information so I can draw a conclusion as to what is that information that's coming to me. So the background, my experience, has a lot to do with how I perceive the world. Now, your perceptions will be divided into memories that turn into beliefs. So perceptions basically are what you know from the past. And when you get enough, oh, I got my tea, I can put that down. When you get enough of a certain type of memories, you get a lot of the same kind of things, and you manipulate them or you operate the same way with them, it becomes a pattern. And that pattern is repeatable. And as it becomes repeatable, you say, well, I believe that. I believe the sun's going to rise tomorrow. So when the pattern is so repeatable, you form beliefs around. So when the sun goes down at night, you have some evidence from your belief system that it's going to rise tomorrow morning. It's going to go down in the west and it's going to rise in the east. Now that's a belief system. It doesn't have to. But if the earth keeps turning the way it is, that's what's going to happen. And your beliefs are the same way. You develop patterns, and then from those patterns, repeatable, you say, well, if this happens, I know this is going to happen. And in the description, I put a couple of examples of that. So, but we're not going to talk necessarily about that because I'm kind of excited to see how this is going to turn out. I'm not sure. I got a lot of stuff on the board. Let's see if I can make something out of it. Now, over here on this side is what we usually call the outside of us. And all of this over here, all of this stuff here, is what we usually call the inside. But we're not too sure where the inside is. But we do know that outside of us is all energy. And the senses, now I got this little black box right here. Now I want you to kind of look close. I don't know if I can blow it up, but look close at it because it says black box, senses. And coming out of the black box is 5 conduits or conduits where information can flow. Now look again, because I got an alien. The black box is kind of like an alien. And he's got 2 arms up here, and he's got 2 arms down here. So this guy is strange. Not as strange as some people I know, but he's pretty strange. So the information is coming in, and it's this here, just information. No words, no words. Information, electromagnetic and chemical information. Now this could be you. Now here's another little stick figure. You can tell the way he's looking because he's looking at the alien. You tell by his nose. So he's looking at he speaks words. Alien speaks electromagnetic and chemical signals. Different language. So inside of you, no language. There's no language spoken. So the information that comes in has to be decoded, has to be made, and this is unusual, this is the way we talk, it has to be made sense of, and it is sensory information. So how are we going to find out what this no word information means? Well, we need somebody to decode it. We need somebody that has experience, has knowledge of what's important for us. And that person is another black box up here that I call the subconscious mind. And the counterpart that we know, the conscious mind, is the only part of this process that talks to us, because we know what the conscious mind is saying. I want you to think about something. As I just said that, conscious mind tells you. I've raised the question before. Haven't had a good answer. Haven't had a good answer. Who are you that hears the conscious mind? What part of you? Where do we put him? Now I put this guy right here because he talks words. But when the conscious mind talks to you, who's it talking to? Oh, that's deep in the illusion. We think it's in the body. We're not sure. From a couple of videos ago, we found out that the body is servant to the mind. Now we got two minds. We've got the conscious mind and we got the subconscious mind. Which one is the biggest? The fastest? Holds all the information. Holds all our past experiences and memories, belief system, our reference information. This part, subconscious mind. How fast does this sucker work up here, this guy? You have to look at some other videos that I put out, and I'll reference. It goes way back to one of the first ones I did. I think it was number 3. I'll get that out. I'll reference it. How fast this is. So I'll tell you. 400, again, depending on how it was tested, how the test ran, 400 billion bits of data per second. So now this part that has all our memories, all what we know, is what is going to interface with this alien information. It's going to interface with it Now that's why I usually draw it as a filter, because it's going to look through this data based upon what we know. And out of this information is going to come what is relevant for us. See how I slipped in this old model? I made it look good with the alien, though. I made it look good with the alien. So maybe you were fooled for a second. But this guy here that talks in words, what does this guy, what's going on with him? Now, he doesn't see this information because he doesn't understand it. Most of it, even after the subconscious mind gets through filtering it for what is relevant for us, will still need to be interpreted. And that's why I got this little question mark in here. We're still looking for our perception. Perception so far, we've come quite a ways into the information, and we've got it filtered now. We've got it, we know what is relevant for us, and we set that information aside. And from that information that we set aside, what is relevant for us, based upon what we know from our experiences from the past, it's right in here. And it is this part of us, the mind and the brain and the central nervous system, that get the information after it has been filtered, and they make a determination. And it turns out to be a perception. Because out here is what is. In here is manipulated information based upon your past. Oh, I didn't tell you how fast the conscious mind operates. Subconscious, 400 billion bits of data per second. Conscious mind, 100 bits of data per second. This filtering process up here is working 1 billion times faster than what your conscious mind is telling you about. There is 1 billion times different between how this up here processes this information and what your conscious mind knows. Your conscious, your slow conscious mind is never, ever going to know that the information was filtered. Happens so fast. And the conscious mind is so slow. And you and I will believe the conscious mind. This operates so fast we don't know what is going on. That's why it's a black box. We don't know what's going on in there. It's faster than the eyes. It's faster than the input data from the senses. We never know what's going on in here. All we know is the output of the filtering process, which is interpreted by this other part. Now, the central nervous system, the central nervous system is the spinal column and the nerves within it, and it is connected to the brain. That's the central. The peripheral is what comes off of that into our hands, and into our feet, and into our other parts of the body, the peripheral part. So now we have input information that starts out as only energy. And I know you're saying, well, I look out there and I see a car and I see a tree and I see a house. I see a puppy dog and I see all kinds of things. That's so difficult to understand. That's why this is an alien. Because this information is actually alien. You have no idea what it is. This guy here that speaks in words, that it's close to your conscious mind, because anytime you begin to speak in words or sounds that leave, you're talking about the conscious mind. And if you went to a foreign country and I don't know, some foreign country where you didn't speak the language, you would have to get an interpreter or somebody that spoke your language, English in my case, and then he would have to they'd have to say, what did he say? And the interpreter would say, well, he said you got to pay more money or something like that. So it's not unusual, except we don't think we're doing it inside of us, to recognize the different languages have to be translated. And this subconscious part of you is the translator. Now, he's very good. He's very fast because you don't even know he's doing it. And then the information comes out here that's relative for you. This is where the perception comes from. Well, that's where it starts, right here. And from there is your world created. Like our other model. This is where your objects are. This is where your objects are. You think they're out here. No, this is energy out here. This is energy. Your objects are created in here. Now, let's see what time we have here. I can't read the doggone thing. Oh, I see it. Okay. So out here is energy that the senses pick up in this little black box. All the senses, all comes together, and you make a world inside of you. Now, the conscious mind looks at that world. Remember, the conscious mind is slow compared to all this other stuff that's going on. And it'll say, oh, that's what's out here. That's what's out here in the energy system. No, it's not. It's in here. That's a projection. Well, we talked about projections. And this is just another way of saying, you think it's out here, but it's really inside of you. It's so important to begin to recognize that shift, that it's inside of you. You know, I'm going to take this off right here for a minute because I want to draw a head. And in this head, I'm going to put a nose and an eyeball and a nice smile and an ear. Make believe that's an ear. You think because that's the way the body is, you're looking out and you are getting information, but you're not seeing objects. this face should have the nose this way. It should be looking inside, because everything is inside of you. This is where you make your perception. Now, you make your perceptions based upon your belief system. You don't make them based upon what's out here. You make them based upon this process, which is faster than your conscious mind could ever understand. And then it projects, it sees what you made. This is your perception of what's out here. It's gone through filtering, it's gone through looking for relevant information. It throws out a bunch of stuff, and out of all the things that come through your senses, you create your world. And if it's got baseballs in it, or cars, or snowmobiles, it is in here that object appears to be. Appear is another way of saying, well, the eye has involved, but it's all your senses that are involved. And you project it out here. So now, I'm going to refer a little bit here. So what the fundamental law of perception is, you see what you believe is there. In other words, what's coming through here, you are going to interpret it based upon your belief system. Oh, I didn't think I told you this. This is from A Course in Miracles. This is the wisdom that I pulled out of the Course in Miracles. In accordance with perception's fundamental law, you see what you believe is there. And that's what this does. It takes out what you're not aware of, what you have no reference to. Takes that out and brings inside of you only from all this data that the alien brings in. All that data you filter out and bring inside of you to make your world only what you believe is there. So it is your belief system that is determining the data that makes your world. Now, when you think about it, you really know that. Now, when you think about it, if you go to science or you go to medical people, they know that when the information comes in, the first thing you do is you filter it for relevance. And usually that's done in the limbic system with the pineal gland and the hippocampus and all of that stuff that's in the limbic system. That's a black box. See, this is a black box. I don't know how it works. I don't care how it works, except to say that there is a filtering system inside of you. And from that filtering system, you determine what is relevant for you based upon your survival, what is important to survive. It's all very scientific. I'm not presenting it that way. Why? When all's said and done, it's just a black box. Now, it's interesting and it's beautiful and it's nice the way they say that it works. They can't prove it works that way. They can't even tell you where your memories are. And you have trillions of memories. Can't find them. That's why we don't know if they're inside of us or outside of us. And we know we're not the body. Oh, there is an awful lot to talk about. An awful lot. Your perception is uniquely yours. Your perception of your world is uniquely yours. That's why perception for you, your perception for you is reality. It's not reality because this is real. It's reality because you believe this is what's real. And you think it's out here. You think it's out here. You're in an illusion. Now, again, what is the importance of recognize you're in an illusion and that you're creating your world? You can change it. If your world is beautiful, if this what you create is beautiful and you have everything that you want, you don't have a problem. But in our society, most of the people are in therapy, on medication, depressed, anxious, or sick. Their world isn't going that good. And they can change it. Now, we've talked about, you see, everything all my videos are interconnected. They're not separate. I try to make them like a ball, like a independent ball, but they're not separate. They're all like the cells of the body. They're all part of the whole process. They're all part of the whole process. So you can change your world. Why? It's not real. It's your construction. Your construction. So if it's sad or depressed or ill, your world, you can change it. It's not fixed in stone. It's very fluid. But you got to believe it's fluid. If you believe it's like a rock, and most people will say that, well, it's physical, it's like a rock. No, it's not. It's like silly putty. You punch it and it gets a little hole in it. You can put it over. You can move it around. You can shape it in anything that you want. But you can't do that if you think it's solid like a rock. Oh, this is very physical. You can't do that. You have to know before I can believe. I have to know it before you don't have to know. Have to believe. Belief is a big important thing on determining your world. And beliefs are made up of memories. And memories are in the past. And when you heal the past, which are memories, you change the future, which is your world. Now, you got to start paying attention as you do this, because we want to make your life great. So think about those, and when we get back together next time, put a comment down below if you have any questions, and we'll do the best we can to answer them. Talk to you later. Bye now.